so I had to screenshot them and send them to my iPad, and I don't know what order they put these in when they sent kind of out of order, which is fine, but I have no idea like what order this is going in. Okay, so we're just gonna go at random. But before we get started, as always, if you want more content from me, I do have a Patreon where I post 3 exclusive ASMR videos a month for only $3 a month, and those videos are just for you and the other patron, so they're never posted here on YouTube. So the link to that is down below, as well as my Instagram and TikTok. I am active over there pretty much every single day, so if you want like non-ASMR content, then you can find that over there. Also, my second channel is down below as well. I'm actually getting my hair finally redone in like an actual way where it's gonna be like a little different, not just like getting it cut. So I might vlog that. So that'll be over on my second channel if I end up doing that. But anyway, I'm excited. So let's get into the questions. I guess I'm just gonna start like from the beginning. And let's just jump right in, okay? Advice on taking things slow / setting boundaries in dating. That's actually really funny. This was not planned. I was talking to a friend about this today, and I basically said that the beauty of it is that there's really no right or wrong. Like, is this too fast? Is this too slow? So don't overthink it. It really is a preference type thing. So from the very beginning, talk about boundaries, talk about your preferences. For example, when me and my boyfriend started dating, we had the conversation of, well, in your eyes, when you're in a relationship, how often do you want to see each other in the beginning? You know, are you the type where you want to see each other like every single day, or do you want to keep it to 2-3 times a week? That's what we did in the beginning. We saw each other on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Even now, I see him on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. We don't feel the need to be with each other every single day, but that's just us, right? So the key, and I'm probably going to say this so many times in this video because I'm going to sound like a broken record and I'm going to sound cliche. This is how I know I'm getting older. You're going to hear me say it a lot. Communication is everything in any relationship you have, whether it's romantic or not. So put everything on the table. Have those discussions very early on. So advice on taking things slow. If you really want to make it feel like it's going a little slower, say, you know, I think we can see each other like twice a week, or you can I flat out said to my boyfriend in the beginning, because he was a lot more like fast-paced than I was, and I told him, I said, we're gonna take this very slow. We're gonna go date by date, and we're gonna see how it goes. So just having the conversations is my advice. Just be open and honest about what you want, but also if this is someone that you really want to be with, then you guys are gonna have to meet in the middle and find what works for both of you. So this one kind of ties in, kind of, sort of, because my answer is kind of the same. How did you overcome the overthinking in your new relationship? I don't know if this is targeted more towards me, if you like know my background, or if it's something that this person is going through. Regardless, my answer is the same. I did come into this relationship with a lot of toxic thoughts that I had to unlearn in a healthy relationship. I would overthink, you know, anything that, you know, had to do with like trust. Really, I would overthink everything because that's what I was used to, and so communication is everything. When I got into my new relationship, my boyfriend, even before he was my boyfriend, knew about my past, knew about what I had gone through, and I knew about his. And so going forward, we would talk about everything, even the smallest little thing that may bother you or is in the back of your head. We talk about it. That's what you have to do. Talk about it, and the right person should know your overthinking habits and make sure that they are taking care of you in that way. So if there's anything that you could possibly overthink, with you, and sometimes they can't read they can't read your mind, so you are gonna have to help them sometimes. But they should be taking those things into consideration so that going forward they can ease that overthinking, and little by little it actually really does go away. I don't think it'll ever go away 100%, but it really does, for the most part, go away. So it gets better. That felt like a long-winded answer. There's a lot of questions about like putting your faith first in a relationship. This one says that they're in their first Christian relationship. I need all the advice. How have you centered God in your relationship? Like, I'm reading multiple of them and they're very similar. Sorry, cat hair. So Jay and I still want to make a video about this over on my second channel. It'll be like a podcast episode, although I don't really do the podcast anymore, but regardless, we still want to do that. But I would say, just like offhand Cliff Notes version, I mean, again, it was a conversation we had early on that was a non-negotiable for me. It was something he wanted as well, and we talked about it. So every Sunday we go to church. That is like our foundation. That is how we ground ourselves. And also because in the future we want to raise a family where it's like the kids, as they grow up, like, we go to church every Sunday. That's how I was raised. I think that's also how he was raised when he was much younger. And it's a preference, right? That's our faith. That's our choice. Never forcing anything on the kids, but as they grow up, that's what we want to do. So we're starting that foundation now. We pray together. We talk about, like, when we leave church, we talk about the message. What we don't do yet, but we've talked about it and I want to, we just have to find the time to do it, is like actually sit down and read the Bible together. He has read the Bible to me on a couple occasions, or has read like our devotional, because my mom gave us both the same devotional that we read every morning, or I read it in the morning, he reads it at night. So sometimes he's read it to me, but we've never actually like sat down and intentionally read the same text, like both of us, with the Bible. It's something I would like to do. And it's really just making conscious efforts of like taking what we learn at church, what we learn reading the Word separately, and tying it into our everyday lives. We are not perfect by any means. It is our first time doing this, both of us, in a relationship. But we take it day by day, and those are the Cliff Notes versions. Really just praying for each other, both when we're together and separate. Is definitely a big part of it. What advice would you give to your younger adult self? I guess like my early 20s maybe. I would say a lot. I would say stop being afraid to be yourself. Stop being afraid to smile widely or laugh loudly. Don't be afraid to be silly. I would say, and I'm gonna actually make a TikTok about this, but I would say being in a relationship where at the end of the day you say, wow, look at us, we didn't fight today. That's not normal. I would say it gets better. I would say drinking that much is not gonna help you. I would say if you drink that much on St. Patrick's Day, you're gonna faint the next day at church. I would say don't let somebody prove more than once that they don't want you. I would say a lot of things. As you can tell, I've learned a lot as I've gotten older. And there's probably a lot more that I would say, but to start. Okay, let's see. How do you handle trust in a relationship? I kind of covered that, but I guess to add on, I mean, I was 100% there after my last breakup, to the point where I had such severe trust issues that I looked at all men the same. I thought that every man was up to something. I thought every man was lying about something. Truly, like even men that were close to me. And at one point, it scared me that I felt that way. And I, very shortly after, makes you see things from another perspective. They'll help you figure out why you're having those trust issues, what triggers those trust issues, and how you can work around that. And also, like I said before, communication. Go into your relationship saying, you don't have to flat out be like, I have trust issues, because some men might run away from that, but there is a way to present it where you're like, hey, I've been through XYZ, so forgive me if sometimes this triggers me, or forgive me if sometimes I ask you a couple more questions, and the right person will understand that. And you also have to understand that just because one man does something does not mean that every man does. It's very easy for your brain to automatically be wired that way, to think that, but it's not true, and you have to tell yourself that it's not true. I feel like I could talk about that a lot, but that's what I would say for that. How can I deal with all of my friends being in a relationship when I'm not? I was also there. I remember one morning, one of my friends got into a relationship, and she was like one of the last ones in my college group that got into a relationship other than me. And I remember I sat on my couch and I cried a little bit, and I called Marissa, and I was like, I'm gonna crash out, because it made me really, of course, you can be, I make it very clear, you can be so happy for your friends and also be sad for yourself at the same time, but you gotta quickly rid yourself of that. You have to remember that everybody's journey is different, and everything is gonna happen at different times. You're gonna get married at different times, you're gonna have babies at different times, because everybody's storyline looks different. So learn to be happy for your friends and think about the role reversal. You would want them to be happy for you if you were in a relationship, so support them, love on them, almost as if it's you in their shoes, right? It's that role reversal. And just know that your time is coming. Just because it's not happening now doesn't mean that it's never gonna happen. It means that all the work that happens behind the scenes for you to prepare to be ready for each other is currently where you are. That's the season of life you're in. You're getting prepared for your future person, and he's getting prepared for you. So that's what I would say to that. I know it's hard. It's easier said than done, but it's a perspective thing. You are in control of your thoughts, nobody else is, and you gotta mentally check yourself. Do you find it challenging to manage self-care and your own hobbies in a relationship? No, not necessarily, although it could be very easy to feel that way for sure. When you are in a relationship, you definitely do have a little less solo time than when you're single. It just kind of is what it is. That's what you're signing up for. But I do think it is incredibly important to still be your own individual people when you're in a relationship, and I have definitely lost that in past relationships. One of the biggest green flags in my boyfriend that I noticed very early on was he knew, like, for example, he knows I love my morning routine. I get up, I feed the cat, I read my Bible, I work out. That's my morning routine, and I love it. I love my morning routine. And so very early on, he flat out was like, I don't want you to lose that. Like, we don't text back and forth in the morning. Everybody's different. This is just what works for us. You know, he's at work. He's like, you're enjoying your you. Like, he literally says, that's your you time. Enjoy it. We've even talked about, like, in the future in marriage that we would want, you know, our own separate rooms. You know, if we find a house that we can afford that allows for that, where I would have an office where I could come home and, like, a night like tonight and film or whatever. That's my space, and then he would be in another room either watching something, or like sometimes he gets on the game and plays with his friends for an hour or whatever. That would be our own us time. So I do think it's a balance. You have to find what works for you guys. Like the very first question you talk about, what's your expectations on how many days we're going to see each other a week or whatever. If you're dating, if you're married, obviously you live together, it's different. But it just depends. You talk about it and you talk about what your preferences are, and then you meet in the middle. But I do think your own solo time, even if it's for an hour a day, day, whether that's going to the gym or going on a walk or like doing a hobby or going and seeing your friends or whatever, is very important to still be your two individual selves. Does that make sense? So yes, it can be hard, but if you're intentional about it and you communicate about it, then it's really not hard at all, and you actually really learn to like value it. So let's see, where the good ones. This is a short question. Do you have any siblings, and who's the oldest? I do have a sister, and she's 10 years younger than me. How do I approach a conversation with friends who are boy crazy and I am not? So this sounds like this person is maybe a little bit younger. I remember those days. I used to be surrounded by girls like that too. Again, communication. There is a way to present it where you're not sounding like a brat, you're not sounding annoying, you're just like, hey guys, you know, either you can say, you know, so much talk about this kind of makes me feel uncomfortable, or I can't really relate, you know, can we talk about something else right now? And if they're like, you're so annoying, maybe those aren't the right friends for you. But if they truly value you and love you as a friend, then they'll be like, oh, I'm so sorry you feel that way, like, let's talk about something else. Just communication. Or maybe limit your time with those people sometimes, you know. Those would be the two pieces of advice I would say. How to trust again after past betrayal. So we kind of talked about that. How do you make new friends as an adult with less free time? Yeah, I mean, I'm at a point in my life now where my friends and I are making plans like 2 months in advance at this point, which is wild. So I get it. But I think if you're in the market to make friends, what worked for me in the past, whether you have all the time in the world or not a lot of time, say yes to everything that you can do. Obviously, you have a busy schedule, I get it. But if it's something you can do, even if it's something that you may not really want to do, say yes to it, because you never know what can come of it. You never know who you can meet. You never know what connections you can make. You never know if you might end up doing something that you really, really enjoy. So say yes to everything, and then you'll meet, even if you meet one person, and then they introduce you to other people that they know. It's like a chain reaction. So try to say yes to as many things and people as you can, and go to environments with things that you like, whether it be workout classes, whether it be a church, whether it be dance classes, whether it be a dog park group, whatever makes you happy, because then you'll find people there that also find happiness in the same thing. Let's see. If I ask my boyfriend for space, how long should it take him until he texts or checks up on me? Interesting. I would have to know a lot of background for that question. Why did you ask him for space? How did that conversation go? Where did you leave off? I think if you flat out just told him you need space, I think you should set the boundary as for when you want him to check up on you, because that's kind of setting him up for a test that he may very well fail. So just say, hey, I need a little bit of space, like let's talk again in a week, or let's talk again tomorrow, in 2 days, whatever feels comfortable for you. But I would say you can't just say like I need space. Well, you can, but leaving it open-ended might make it a lot more complicated, because then he probably has no idea what's too quick for you or what's too much time for you, and then he may get it wrong, and then that might make things worse. So I would communicate what your ideal time frame would be to him. What is something you struggle with silently that you wish people talked about more? Spiritual burnout, and how you never lose your love for God, but the things like a morning routine, like reading the Bible, like XYZ, can start to feel like a checklist rather than you doing it from your heart. And I think that happens to more people than people say it's definitely happened to me. Happened to me not that long ago. And it's a thing where it's a perspective change. Again, you have to be mindful of it and snap yourself out of it. But I do think it happens to a lot more people than we realize. And now that, you know, religion and Christianity is so trendy, I'm just very aware of like kind of who I watch and who I consume things from on the internet now. Because I think there's more of that than people let on. That's why I don't always talk about my faith in every single TikTok or video, because then it wouldn't be genuine. You know what I mean? So, how do you handle a situation where you're forced to see your ex-boyfriend every single day? I mean, that also depends, right? I don't know how you guys broke up. I don't know if it was ugly. I don't know if it was amicable. I don't even know what I would do. It also depends on like how long time has passed. You know, if someone is no longer in your life and you're entering into a new chapter, then it should kind of be that. I don't think you should ever be rude or nasty. But you know, there's a way to be polite and respectful without opening a door again or reopening a door. And say, for example, they tried to talk to you and you don't feel comfortable with that, you can just say, hey, like, we're gonna say hi, you know, I have no ill feelings towards you, I don't wish you any harm, but I just don't think conversation is really necessary, and I hope that you can respect that. And that's it. That's all you have to say. But that is very tough, and I'm sorry that you have to go through that, because I'm sure that definitely makes it hard and might play with your mind. So just boundaries. Let's see, what is your ideal day or date? I'm sorry, what is your ideal date? I'm just gonna answer, what is my ideal date? That depends. It depends on my mood. I like both. I like getting dressed up all cute and going out for dinner and a drink, but I also like nights where you're in sweatpants and you cook dinner in the house and like watch a movie or play a game or bake something. So it depends on the day. Something with summer coming up, something that I've thought about often is I really want to have a picnic on the beach. I've never done that before. I think I've said that on this channel. I've never done that before, and I've always wanted to. I think at some point Jay and I this summer are gonna find a beach, one of those beaches that you can drive on, because I have a Jeep and it has sand mode, so I can find a beach. I think you just need like a permit or something and find a beach where people drive on. So we're gonna do that, and then you just like flip up the trunk and have like a picnic in the back and bring chairs, music, whatever you want. So I think we're gonna do that. So maybe something like that would be really fun and different. I like doing different things so that things don't feel so like monotonous, you know. How do you heal without hoping they come back deep down? That's a really good question, and I will just commend you on that, because that is a really like self-aware question, because I've been there a long time ago, like in high school, where you say like, yeah, like it's fine, it's over, like, you know, I'm cool with it, but in the back of your mind, you don't tell anybody, but in the back of your mind you're like, oh, but like maybe there's hope. I did not feel that after my last relationship, but I have felt that in the past, and I know what you mean. You kind of just have to tell yourself, oh, again, it depends on the situation, right? But if that person, you're saying they hope they come back, which might mean that they maybe did the breaking up, or they left, or whatever. So you have to tell yourself, if someone doesn't choose you, then you do not choose them. If they do not choose you, they are not good enough for you. Doesn't mean that they are a bad person, but it means that they are not good enough for you. You know that saying, like, oh, if you think I'm too much, then go find less. It's that kind of situation. So if they've walked away, they made that choice, and you deserve someone who will actively choose you. You don't want to be the person that chases. There's a difference between pursuing and chasing. You don't want to be the person that chases, especially with someone who has their back to you and they're walking in the opposite direction. You want to walk towards someone and have them walk towards you, and you meet in the middle and you choose each other. That is what you deserve. That is what every human on this planet deserves. So if someone is not choosing you, you have to love yourself enough to know that you deserve better. In certain situations, do people break up and get back together? Sure. But you have to be very selective. It's very situational. But if that person didn't choose you, then find somebody who does. Remember, if one man won't, another one will. Promise you that. How do you regulate your emotions during the hard days of the month, aka when I'm on my period? So that's actually very funny, because when I was younger, I was never ever affected by that. I would never get cranky. I would never get, like, I get cramps, but I wouldn't get cranky. I wouldn't get moody. I wouldn't have mood swings. Like, I never had that, and I still don't really. But even in just the last year, I have noticed that I am changing. About a week before my period comes, I am like less cuddly, I'm less affectionate, I am a little more irritable. And that was weird for me to navigate, because at first I was like, what's happening to me? Why am I having these thoughts? I had never experienced it before. And I talked about it on Patreon once, and somebody commented, was like, yeah girl, like in your late 20s, you almost like go through a second puberty. Like, things, your hormones like change even more. So I'm experiencing that for the first time, and I guess I didn't really notice it until I was in a relationship, because you're with somebody so closely like that. And so it comes down to communication. Again, I told you I'm going to say it over and over again, where now that I'm aware of it, because in the beginning I wasn't aware of it, I was like, why do I feel this way? Because sometimes you just don't want to be cuddled, sometimes you don't want to be. My boyfriend and I laugh about it, because there was one day we were together not that long, and we're both very affectionate, but he's way more affectionate than I am, and he was like kissing my face, and it was like over and over and over again, and I was like it was like I was like, whoa. I was like, okay, and now we laugh about it, because now it's kind of funny. But now I understand why I felt that way, because then the week after, I just want to like koala bear, you know? So communicate with your friends, your partner, whoever's around you, like, hey, I'm not really feeling myself. You don't need to go into detail, but just, hey, I'm not really feeling myself today or this week, you know? So if I feel or sound or act a little more irritable, that's why, like, don't take it personal, and just learn like what makes you feel good. Do you need some solo time? Do you just need to lay on the couch with a heating pad and watch a show? Do you need to take a nap? Like, you know, just learn what works for you and then do those things, and the people around you should be aware of those things so that they can kind of like not cater to you, but I guess just be like aware of what's happening. But I'm still figuring it out right now, because this is kind of new for me. Let's see. How do I leave a relationship that I outgrew? Oh, you would think that would be an easy question, but it's really not, because sometimes you're not aware that you outgrew it, even though you did. That happened to me, and it's hard, because sometimes if you don't realize it and you don't make the moves to leave, circumstances will happen where it happens regardless. So the fact that you asked that question means that you kind of already have an inkling to the fact that you outgrew whatever relationship that you're in, which is already the first step, and arguably the hardest step if you ask me. And you kind of just have to do what you believe awkward for you, it kind of just is what it is, but it's choosing you and it's loving yourself, because if you don't love yourself properly, nobody's going to be able to love you properly. So it's gonna suck. I wish I could tell you that there was an easy way to do it. There isn't. But choosing yourself will always be a good choice. And it's not necessarily selfish, because if you stay in a relationship that you know isn't for you, you're also doing the other person a disjustice too. So if it's gonna be better for you and the longevity of, as opposed to staying together and then it not being healthy or not being good or happy, then it's the right choice for both of you. So, but I'm proud of you for already making that first step. Let's see, how do you fight procrastination? I mean, it's hard. I've gotten better with it over the years. I kind of just think about future me, and I'm like, well, if I don't do this right now, then I'm gonna have to do it tomorrow or later tonight, or if I don't do this, I'm really gonna regret it. Like, if I don't, it's already 10 o'clock at night, but I still have to do my arm workout. I don't want to, but if I don't do it, I'm gonna have to either make up for it another day, or I'm gonna lose out on a day and then feel kind of bad about it. So I always think of future me and how grateful I'm gonna be once I just do it and get it done, you know? Let's see if I can find like one or two more. I feel like I skipped. There's a lot of questions about like how I stay consistent, like with my routines and my fitness and my like what I eat and my meals and like staying healthy. Well, honestly, I am a very routine person because that's the way I was raised. So my morning routine, for example, if I don't get to do all of it, or I do it in a different order, it kind of bugs me a little bit. It's not the end of the world, but it does bug me a little bit. So that's just kind of how I was raised, but I'm not perfect by any means. I don't eat like the healthiest person in the world. I eat relatively healthy, but I also enjoy, so I have a balance. And as far as like workouts and fitness, I've talked about it before, but for me it's about how I mentally feel. So if working out a lot and like trying to stay somewhat lean is what makes me feel good physically, it makes me feel good mentally, and then when I feel good mentally, I'm in a good mood. Whereas if on days where I feel really bloated, or maybe I eat something that I know isn't going to agree with me, but I want it anyway, i.e. ice cream or pizza or whatever, I still eat them. I do. I had ice cream yesterday. And Friday. I didn't realize I had ice cream twice this weekend. That's why it was a good weekend. What was I saying? If I eat things that don't agree with me. That I end up getting like really bloated, and when I feel really bloated, I mentally don't feel good. I'm a little bit more moody, I'm a little cranky. I just want to sit on the couch and sweatpants and not do anything. And so with summer coming up, for me it's not about like I have to have a bikini body, because any body is a bikini body. It's more of just like what's gonna mentally make me feel good, and I know that if I skip a lot of my workouts, I'm not gonna feel mentally good and there. And I have trips coming up this summer, and I want to just feel my best so that I can put my best attitudes forward for the people around me, if that makes sense. So it's really all a mind thing and a perspective thing. Jay taught me this, where he doesn't say I have to go to the gym or I have to go work out. He says I get to go work out. I get to go to the gym. It's a perspective thing, which I think is really cool. Alright, let's answer one more. Although I feel like I talked about pretty much what should I prepare for? Honestly, I've never lived with a boyfriend, so I don't really know, but I guess what I can assume is that you're gonna have to get ready to share a space. I mean, I don't know what your situation is, if you have a roommate or not. I know for me, when I live with someone, again, I've lived on my own for 3 years now. I have my own routines, I have my own everything, and I love it. And I know that when that time comes, although I'm gonna love my future husband and, you know, whatever, it's still gonna be hard for me, because it's gonna be an adjustment. So navigate those adjustments and growing pains together. Again, I can't stress it enough, communication, and just take it day by day. You know, ask your boyfriend, what do you need out of this living situation? Here's what I need out of this living situation, and then you meet in the middle, and talk about, I guess, like what the obligations around the house are gonna be. Like, who's gonna do what? Do you think that the man should take out the trash, or is it just who's ever there is gonna take out the trash? Or, you know, who's gonna primarily cook? Or, like, those are important conversations to have, because you want to make sure that you know what each other's expectations are, because whether or not people think that they have expectations about that stuff, they do. It just is what it is. So you gotta talk about it. So that's all I got. Can you tell that I like doing videos like this? I feel like I got so much in here that I just want to, like, make this a 3-hour video, but there's not enough questions for that. But anyway, that is all I have for you. I would love to do more of these, and on my second channel I also want to do something similar to this, but like with more specific dating advice questions. And I want to bring Jay in. He's already agreed to it. He wants to do it. Bring Jay in and give you the answers from the male perspective to kind of get a different perspective and a different way of looking at things. I think that'd be fun. So I don't know when that's coming, because May is an absolutely crazy month for both of us together and individually, so I don't know when that's gonna happen, but we do want to do that at some